but this is my experience of the process for England. Hello and welcome to today's video. So in today's video I'm going to be talking through the process of the Disabled Student Allowance, or the DSA. This is to kind of go over the whole process, so if you're thinking about applying for it, kind of know what you're kind of getting into, because it is a long process. So I just thought I'd kind of talk you through it basically as someone who is going through it and who has been through it. So firstly, who is eligible? That's anybody that has a disability, which is classed under the Disability Act. It is done through student finance, but you can apply for it without applying through student finance, and to do that you have to do it through the paper form, or you can do it as well as doing your online student finance application. So when you're applying for your student finance, you get that sorted, and there's a little box that says like if you want to apply for the Disabled Student Allowance. I definitely would. I think if you're eligible for the help, I think you should get it. Like, why shouldn't you? It kind of just puts you on an equal par, which will help you find it easier to do better in your studies than if you hadn't got the help, because it's there to help you and it's there to be used. It's also given as a grant, so you don't have to pay it back, anything you get. However, it's not really financial, it's more the giving of things. It is financial in a sense, but I'll talk that through later when I talk about the kind of things you can get. So to start with, you say like, yes, I want to do an application for the Disabled Student Allowance, and then you tick whichever box applies to you with what type of disability you have. For me, I ended up having to write in the other section because I have more than one of the like options that you can tick. So I ended up just writing out what I had. A couple of days later I had an email saying my application had been submitted and that they now wanted to see my medical evidence. This is either the case of a ECHP or like a psychology care plan, or anything that it's from any time. So it used to be that if it was, say, for dyslexia or dyspraxia, then the diagnosis had to be after you were 16. So if you got it when you were like 5, you had to get a new one. But now they've just scrapped that. So you can have the diagnosis when you're like 1 year old and you can still use that form. I didn't have a diagnosis as such, so I had to get the medical evidence form, which is an orange form you can get on the website, and you basically hand it to a medical person that's involved in your care and they fill it out. Basically, in order to be approved, you have to have an illness or disability that is likely to affect you for more than 12 months and is likely to affect on how you study or retain information. So I got my psychiatrist to fill mine out for me, and then I sent that off and the waiting game began. This was probably the longest part of time you have to wait, which is basically while they're like assessing your situation. And if you are eligible, essentially you are eligible, but it just takes them a really long time to get it sorted because it's student finance and you know they take a really long time. But it's because they probably are so busy with like millions of everything else to do. Then I got my email telling me I've been approved, and basically I needed to arrange a needs assessment. They then send you a link to find your nearest one. It doesn't matter where you're going to university, you can go to any one. Because I'm going to be attending Manchester University, I went for the University of Manchester Assessment Centre. However, it's not my nearest one. However, because of COVID, all the assessments were online anyway, so it didn't really matter. If you look at whichever assessment centre is nearest your house or where you live, you will see that it costs £650. However, you've already been approved, just you don't know what specific help you're getting, so you don't need to pay this £650. This is covered by student finance because you've already been like told yes, you can get some kind of support if you get like the accepted. If somewhere in London is closer to you, but say you're going to Durham, you can still go to a London assessment centre. It does not matter where you get your assessment done because they kind of transfer between each other anyway. I then contacted the assessment centre and they say they can book you in between 10 working days from when you ask for an assessment. However, mine was that day the following week, and I was sent some forms through to basically just tick what I struggled with in certain areas and what was involved in my course. Flash forward to my needs assessment. They say to leave about 2 hours for your appointment because obviously they don't really know how long it's going to take. But I had mine on Zoom, and essentially they just go through your form. Essentially it's a really chilled chat because you've already got the help, you've already got the funding for it. They're not trying to say prove you have a disability. It's not that you've already been approved. They're just simply trying to have a discussion with you of what they think might help you in university. So I'm just going to read roughly the bits that I was offered that they thought might help, just so you can kind of get an idea of what stuff you might be offered. So I've been offered like a dictaphone to record lectures, however that's not really appropriate at the moment because obviously lectures will be online. But when they do eventually go back to in-person, I will still have that to be able to use it. I've also been offered a lot of software that is good for creating mind maps and almost visualising and reading out text. There's also a lot of software that allows you to listen to text, so like audiobooks for example. I will also get my insurance reimbursed, so for my computer, because obviously my computer is quite heavily involved in a lot of the support that I'm getting. I have to pay my own insurance, but I then get that money back. I've also been offered a printer/scanner and also £100 worth of ink and other stuff involved with the printer and stuff that I will buy. If you're watching this having had your needs assessment and you're waiting for the actual like letter, do not buy anything. If you buy something before you get your like proof of what you have, they will not refund you, they will not give it you back. Even if that's what's been agreed, do not get anything till you have that letter that says this is what you are allowed. Because the needs assessment isn't that, it's simply them just writing out what they think you would need, then it goes off to student finance, then it comes back and that's when you can get it, and that's when you've like been approved and everything is in place. I've also been offered a study skills tutor and almost like a mentor to kind of check in with once a week. So you get allotted certain times, so I get an hour a week for each like problem I have. I'm also offered delivery and installation, so essentially people will come into my room and set up everything, and they have like certain hours to teach me like how to use everything, so I'm kind of, it's not just put on my computer and I just have to work it out. Like people are being paid by student finance to teach me how to use it. So this is where a money thing comes in. So if you search like the eligibility, it says up to like £23,000 for non-medical help, something like that. But essentially what that is all the help you're given comes at a price. So over the years, I'm not sure what it would add up to, but say if you were meant to get a tutor an hour a week to help you, that might cost about £70 a session or whatever. So over the year, that's going to really add up. So that is the cost that you are given by student finance, but it doesn't matter because you don't pay it. So when you get your like letter that says what you've been approved for, you are then given a list of suppliers that you have to contact in order to get that stuff yourself. You then have to send the receipts of this to the DSA and student finance, who will then reimburse you. So essentially you're not getting given the money, like you're not gaining from it, but everything you spend you will get back. You don't gain from it, like you're not being paid because you struggle in certain things, it's not like that. Then your needs assessor types up your report, sends it off to student finance, and then hopefully it should take about 2 to 3 weeks, but I'm actually currently waiting on mine. Essentially I'm now waiting for my report to be sent back, which is basically then the finalised report of what the DSA and what student finance are willing to give me for this year of study, and then I have to contact everyone and be like, oh, on this day can you come and like put in some software and give me the time to use it. That's essentially how it works. I've already been signed up with DAS at the University of Manchester, so I've already got a lot of help under there, and a lot of that comes in with the disability student allowance. So I've got most of my help without being put on the DSA, but there's some things that they can't offer me without me having that funding. So essentially I'm waiting for the DSA to kind of be complete, and then all my support will be kind of ready to go. So I'm really kind of looking forward to that, because there shouldn't really be any shame in saying that you need help. While the process is really long, I would advise that you get the help you need. And there's so many things offered to you that you probably didn't even think of before. Like there's so many things that I've never even heard of that I'm now getting support on, which might help, but you won't know until you try. Like you can have it and it might not help you, and that's fine, you don't have to use it, but it's there if you need it. But I think it's really important that if you do have what's classed as a disability, or you are eligible for some kind of extra support, I think you should go for it. You don't have to tell anyone you're getting it. Like obviously your uni probably needs to know, but like you don't have to tell your friends. It's nothing, like you don't have to shout about it and write posters everywhere saying like, oh, I get extra support. Like it's nothing like that. It's just something that you get should make your life a bit easier. So thank you for watching, and I hope you found this helpful, because I've not really seen anything out there on YouTube about this, so I just thought I'd chat about it and just kind of give you a bit of advice and just kind of tell you what you're getting yourself in for, because it is very daunting. It's a long process, even though all of student finance is a long process, but it is, if you get turned down, then still seek university support, because there'll still be things they can offer you even without the DSA. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below literally anything, and please subscribe. I will see you for the next video.